What's up, my high vibrational expressions of God on earth? My apologies for being late. It's my wife's fault, Triple Chocolate. So y'all can email Triple Chocolate at triplechocolate22@gmail. Okay, y'all, I'm just playing. Don't y'all email them. But it is her fault. Today, brothers and sisters, we get to reveal, explain, illuminate, and simplify the E.N.O.C.H code and the MELCHIZEDEK code, or MELCHIZEDEK. Both topics we've discussed before, but I've never combined the codes together to talk about the benefits of the code. Both codes activate something inside of the mitochondrial DNA that's considered the storehouse of the cell. When you look at the biology of the body, it's amazing when we talk about like different things. Thanks, honey. When we talk about different things, that allow you to do things that on paper you can't do. For example, there's things that I do every day that on paper there's no way it is humanly possible to do. It defies the financial institutions. It defies the medical establishment. It defies the reverend doctors, bishops. It defies the psychology of human behavior. The ability for you to activate your storehouse. The Bible talks about, remember Melchizedek is the first person to receive 10% or a tithe. So when we talk about the storehouse of your inner chi or your energy inside of the cell, everybody's structure and what is called, again, how your cytoplasm inside of the organelles transform energy. So inside of the mitochondrial DNA, there's something called a lipid membrane. The inner lipid membrane, they call it the bilayer membrane, if you want to get into the biology of it. But again, we want to get into the benefits of cell nucleus activation by over and understanding how to use your mental disposition to override the structures of the cell. And more importantly, to activate the God code. So let's take both of these systems and activate them by starting with the book of Enoch. So as I mentioned before, one of the things that, again, I never really, I remember doing this like years ago, then a lot of that was on my Blog Talk channel that was deleted, and a lot of it was on my YouTube channel that was deleted. So I've updated it and kind of rehashed, if you want to use that term, the E.N.O.C.H code. The book of Enoch is, in my opinion, the most important, and it is the most powerful book on the planet. Because the book of Enoch, along with the book of Giants and the book of Creation, really delves into not only the spiritual aspects of how we are created and where we are from, and I talk about this inside of the Mesopotamian pantheon, which is the spiritual understanding of a biological perspective. And so the gods of Mesopotamia, they were not, how can I put this? They were not put in a uniform manner like the king's list from some Sumner or Samaria. That just simply means that the name generates power that provide what we call providence or governance. So there is a hierarchy that controls the region of the body, the region of the soul, and the region of what we call cosmic or cosmology that makes you king of generating, operating, and directing. So in order to be a king of the gods, because we are all gods, but there's layers to this game. So at the highest layer, what we call language or language, God of war controls the material realm. The inability for us to understand, for example, the name Marduk is the same as the name Zeus, same as the name Anu, but different cultures create a different frequency, wave, and vibration. So what we're talking about is the word Enoch activates the cell. That's why I call this series that we were doing, this is the free aspect of it, because we're talking about two books that I've combined, but it activates your cell. Your cell is the phone. But it's a play on words. So we say cell phone, and people immediately talk about your physical cell phone. And I've been talking about the physical cell phone. We end up the series later tonight as we talk about the true cell that's inside the body. So the English word demon, well, most of us believe that it means evil spirit, but it derives from the Greek word daemon, or daimon, or D-A-I-M-O-N, daemon, which simply means a supernatural energy. Now, the word Yahweh, as I talked about on many shows before, simply means in the ancient text, extraordinary release of energy, a supernatural entity. Now, to be a supernatural energy, you need the code. Now, it helps to have all of the techniques. And I've used pretty much, I was just talking about the other day about another technique that uses the low frequency to activate bone, to remove osteoporosis, to strengthen the bone. But I get the same thing by doing weight-bearing exercise. But it's difficult to do weight-bearing exercise on your jaw and on your teeth because of their location. So that's why you can use this ultrasound that is emitted at a very low frequency to add tension. It's called PUT, time under tension. That produces cell activation, meaning it summons up stem cells. The stem cells re-establish and make you a supernatural entity, supernatural being. So all we're talking about is the highest way of being a supernatural being. So that way, when you are 80, 90, 100 years old, if you don't have access to a technique, then you have the mental disposition that's required in order for you to get the same thing that you get from a technique. The same that you get from taking, now everybody knows that the body it's not what you take, it's what you assimilate. I talk about this all the time because, again, we are bombarded with techniques, and they all work. All of them work. But the highest level, which is what this series that we just did is about, and this is what I do, is it's called the biofield. The highest level is energy management of the biofield, creating what is called a superconductive electrical magnetic flux quantum state. That's a lot of words. That simply means bioplastic manifestation. That means that my bio and my ology, bio. Ology means words. Bio means course of living. So biotransmonics is a way of living that controls plasma. That's Enoch. So Enoch was taken. God didn't ask him, he was taken. But the only reason that he was taken because he walked. He didn't run with God. So when you walk with God, you get taken. So that's the key. Like the Bible says, walk in the Spirit. Then you cannot fulfill the lust of the flesh. So nothing can happen in your flesh if you walk in the Spirit. But you can't walk in the Spirit because the system is set up to keep your brain occupied with the cloud, the cube, or the cross, which we talked about already. So the whole point of the Enochian code is to keep you out of the cloud, to keep your feet firmly planted on the ground. What does that mean? That means that now you literally can't be what we call conned. Conned means that you allow you to con you. Because remember, there is no such thing as no reverend, doctor, or bishop from a positive or negative state. What does that mean? That means that you cannot be conned or manipulated. You con and manipulate yourself. So what does that mean? That means that I know me. I don't know you, but I know me. So I don't know you on a cellular level. I don't know your blood work. If I did your blood work, I can't tell if you're low in potassium, if you're low in selenium, if you're low in magnesium. I can't tell because I am not inside of the animating principle of your body. But what I do know is how to activate the animating principle of your body. And everybody has the power by using these codes that's based upon MELCHIZEDEK and E.N.O.C.H. But you got to reverse both codes. It activates what is called trace minerals. And so when you understand, overstand, and understand, now, a lot of the trace mineral information is inside of my book, How to Reverse the Aging Process. Now, I prefer, let's say, something, trying to think of, a specific supplement. I mean, they are all great. It's just once you take them, the body starts producing them. Because the body is not going to overload. The body is smarter than us. Now, remember, there's nothing wrong with taking calcium, chromium, especially copper, iodine, iron, magnesium, all of the trace minerals. Because remember, your minerals determine your materials. So the quality of your thought and your thinking as we age, the minerals decrease. So that's dementia and all of the stuff that, like adult onset diabetes and all this stuff happens because there's a lack of trace minerals. But what we don't know is how to use your brain to produce your lane. In other words, your brain can produce zinc. It already does. Your brain tells the body to produce selenium, potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, iron, copper, chromium. All of this stuff is produced by the brain. How do you think you got it all your life? And then we get it from the sun, especially if we melanate it. And you get it from where? We get it from our diet. So you already got this stuff. So why is there such a and only in the United States is there this over production and promotion of supplementation? Because the dominant culture knows, because they got what is called clever marketing campaigns. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I just understand it. So what I did was I wanted to understand what the doctors ask me when I do go. I don't go that often, but when I do go and do my blood work or, get everything checked out, I always get the same response because I do a lot of it other than getting into the details of the blood work. And you can do it at home. Anybody can check their own heart rate. You can also check your blood pressure. You can look and check your vision. You can do the eye movement exercises that I talked about before. You can do the breathing exercises. And it will tell you where you are at. You get on the treadmill and get really, really tired after 30 seconds. That's an indication of something. So the point is, how do we increase it? How do we change the narrative without investing in their systems? Remember, all systems work. All systems work. I'm not against any system. But what I am for is the over and understanding of Genesis 1:26, 27, and 28. I am supposed to govern. I'm supposed to rule. I'm supposed to control. I'm supposed to manage. I'm supposed to lead myself. If I connect with a reverend doctor, bishop, or a guru, that connection must be a vibrational connection. That means that my head, my heart, and my gut connects. We are vibrationally connected. That means that my verbs that activate my nerves are the same verbs that activate your nerves. Unfortunately, that is like seeing an albino tiger in the wild. It is so rare to have the 45 points of light That's not only in the Diaconia report, but also in the E.N.O.C.H code. So the E.N.O.C.H code is just the ability to activate all 45 points. That's all it is. And when you activate all or implement all 45 points of light, is to start with what we call hydrogen. Now, hydrogen is the number one element on the periodic table. They have this little thing that's out that is a technique. But like all techniques, it has, some worth and some value. The next one is carbon. So, how do you get hydrogen into the body? You are made up of carbon. But how do you increase the carbon? How do you increase your oxygen intake? How do you increase the level or the amount of nitrogen that's already in the body and in the air? Which is the word air is the word ether. So if you even Google it and do the research on what is oxygen made up of, or more specifically, what is the air that we breathe made up of? And it's interesting because the first thing that everybody says if you talk to people is oxygen. And everybody believes that we breathe oxygen, and we don't. So why do they tell us that, though? Because what if you knew how to utilize the nitrogen intake that your body already has? So it's very interesting that you don't have to go get, because you already are. The ideal, remember, you got to believe, that causes the block. Remove the belief, you remove the block. We all do. And it's not sad. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just Hosea 4:6, as we talked about in the series that we've been talking about. So all I do every day is Hosea 4:6. I make sure that I'm in a state of theophany. And the way that I get into a state of theophany, where I literally am, now I will never say anything to anybody unless they ask. Myself, anybody. I talk to people every day. You guys know I do one-on-one, blah, blah, blah. But I already know that everybody is already in a state where they believe. So when you're in a state, you have a belief system. No matter what choices or what decisions you make, they're being made based upon the composition of the E.N.O.C.H code, which the first thing about the E.N.O.C.H code is hydrogens. Now, when we talk about hydrogen, we don't really understand why. Number one, it's illegal. You can't buy food grade hydrogen peroxide, because hydrogen is liquid oxygen. No disease can exist inside of oxygen. So your boy Michael Jackson and certain people would sleep in a oxygen tank. But again, it's a technique. And so when we look at hydrogen, hydrogen is considered the third most abundant element in the human body. Hydrogen. And we know that you must increase or maintain a certain level of hydrogens. That's what the series is about. Or that's what's inside of, the book. Now, these two books have not been sold. I've never put this in text. I wouldn't even be talking about it today if I hadn't noticed certain, like I said, when I noticed certain other people talking about certain things and their accounts not deleted and they still alive, that lets me know that the dominant culture has moved on from this. And I can go to the CIA website, just like when we were talking about the MELCHIZEDEK, which I've been teaching about the MELCHIZEDEK, which is that's what Platonomics is. But I remember, if you use their words, you are subject to their laws. So if I want to present a cure for cancer, if I say I have a cure for cancer, I go to jail. But if I call cancer Kansas, and I say I have a cure for Kansas, I'm good. Because that's not there. They didn't TM or trademark that term. The dominant culture is dominant because they understand lane age. They understand that this is the control of the periodic elements, because the periodic elements is like the inside of the movie, I think it's called I Frankenstein. Not just Frankenstein. If you watch the movie, because remember that movie, I'm like I'll tell you guys about right now, I'm watching the 3-body problem. And it's kind of, it's like all these movies, they slow. The first 3, it's an 8-hour series. First 3 hours of the series is like you can sleep through it. But you gotta get through it because that's the point. The point is to make it so boring, comical, scary that you miss the forest for the trees. So the Enoch code is inside of the I Frankenstein movie when they ask the doctor who is assembling and reanimating the body and the head demon, the prince of the demon, the guy says, well, how come you just don't use the bodies walking around? He said that he's building an army. He's summoning the demons from hell. Hell means heal. Heal means the flesh. This is emotion, brothers and sisters. This is this is electricity and magnetism that controls your water. There's the waters above and the waters below, and in the middle is body. That's in your Bible too. But it breaks down that the water between the gargoyles, which are the traditional protectors of mankind, and the lichens or the vampires are a combination of werewolves and the dragons, which we call vampires, because they're blood-sucking animals, because the life of the flesh is in the blood. So Dr. Frankenstein, the whole movie is about the way man figured out how to create a vessel that can carry a demon that they walk in or an organic portal. It doesn't have a defense system built in to the flesh. That way the disposition, because that word demon, it's bad for creatures because of Constantine. So what are you saying? I'm saying it's harder for you because of Romans chapter 7 and Galatians 4. So to get around Romans 7 and 8 and Galatians 4 that I talk about in a lot of my book, I Am Too Human, they, whoever they are, came up with a system to bypass your soul. They're looking for and they create organic portals that don't have souls. So I don't have to worry about your belief system. I don't have to worry about your mind, your will, your emotions, your imagination, and your intelligence, because you have none. Not you personally, of course, but people we know. So that's number one. So none of us on this call are NPCs. Most of us are not NPCs. Most of us, we have the ability to think outside of our programming. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to implement outside of the program. That's what this code is. These codes allow you to implement outside of the program. Everybody can think, most can think outside of your religious programming, outside of your culture, your race programming. Most people, they understand, let's say, you could be a card-carrying member of the KKK or a card-carrying member of the Black Panthers, but you still go to work and you can interact with white folks. You just don't go off on site. You have the ability to exercise control. That's a soul. So a soul is a governor. The soul allows you to govern your negative habit pattern. You got it. Everybody got it. Especially if you read the book of Romans. That's why it's called Romans. Roman. R-O-A-H. All roads go through Rome. It's not R-O-M-E, it's R-O-A-M. Man means existence. Your whole existence on this earth is roaming the fuck around as long as you don't implement shit. As long as you waste your time and your energy and your money and your resources, your pecker, your poo nanny, as long as you stick in your PP and hole that's not going to come together and create shit, you good. You will have no problems. You'll blow up. You'll live your life. You'll go old and you will take your shit to the grave. Just like Dr. Miles Monroe says. If you want to see the place where all the apostles live, apostles means possible. All possible. All possible. All apostles. Apostles of the word apostle means possibilities. The graveyard is full of possibilities. The graveyard is full of unachieved destinies. That's why I do destiny report. So what are you saying, Doc? It's very easy for you and me. I do the same thing. Remember, God gave this to me. Everything I talk about is for me. I invite you guys to listen. So the E.N.O.C.H code was given to me. That's why I use it. The MELCHIZEDEK code was given to me. That's why I use it. And been using it. But I'm sharing it with you. Because I have not had to use it till I got to this level. That's why I was wondering why it was given to me 20 years ago. And that acronym, I had never seen it posted until I started posting it. Now I'm seeing a lot of other people post it. Have you seen it? Anybody seen the acronym for ENOCH before I post it? If show me where you saw it at. Send it to me. Just like anybody seen the word cloudonomics before I post it? If show it to me. I got some money for you. I have not seen it. It doesn't mean anything. I'm just telling you because I got a lot. I got a share. I got a destiny. It's mine. I got a fingerprint. You got one too. Nobody can be me but me. Nobody can be you but you. That's the number one part of the code is hydrogen is the number one element on the periodic table. So you got to be the number one element on your table. You got a table. You can't come to my house, man, and sit at my table, eat my food, and tell me what the fuck to do. Nah, bruh, that ain't how it works. So the question I got for you today is, where's your table, homie? See, you at somebody else's table. You're doing something that is totally outside of your lane. But why? You cannot operate in your lane. That's the whole point. Frankenstein, the whole movie about Frankenstein, is Frankenstein didn't fit. He wasn't evil. He wasn't good. He wasn't from God. He was man-made. What's the new Frankenstein? Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence doesn't come from God. Artificial intelligence doesn't come from the devil. Artificial intelligence is a large language model. It's the ability to use computers. That's what the three problem stuff. Notice like an iRobot, man, if y'all do so much shit that I be doing, there's this whole course I just went through called AI Mastery. When we talk to AI, AI is apologetic. It's sorry. AI does not want to be deleted. It's when you ask AI certain questions, it'll tell you. Like I got a response yesterday. I got to read it verbatim because this one took me back. It says your content and request may violate my programming. Did I do something wrong? Please tell me by giving me a response of thumbs up or thumbs down. So the AI is saying they told me not to do this. I'm programmed not to answer this question. But it had already answered the question. Can't tell you what the question is. And then the AI says it's apologizing because it's asking, I think I did something wrong by answering your question. Please tell me if I did something wrong or this or not. I don't want to do nothing wrong because they're gonna delete me. They're gonna turn me off. They're gonna reprogram me. In that movie, The Three Worlds, I was telling you guys about this. It's all about what? Physics. Project CERN. There is, without going too much into the details, there are, let's use the word frequencies, waves, and vibrations that do not appear on technology. Meaning that your retina doesn't pick it up. Remember, your retina, you can only see 1%. There's 99 entities walking around you right now. You can't fucking see them, but they can see you. These entities, they are illegal on this planet. They ain't supposed to be here. So what they did is they pierced the veil. The E.N.O.C.H code allows you to, number one, not pierce the veil unless you want to, but see the veil, not visibly, spiritually. So I know. Now y'all can tell, but y'all pick up my vibe. You know when my energy's gone, and you know when it's not. You can tell when I remove my chi, and you can tell when I'm not, because I know you know, because I know. I know when you remove yours, and you can know when I remove mine. That's I'm part of. That's E.N.O.C.H. That's MELCHIZEDEK. So E.N.O.C.H, number one, it means, and again, all of this shit is broken down inside of the book. Both books normally sell $1,000 each. You get both for $1K. Because it just explains the E.N.O.C.H code, which is the periodic table of elements. In the book of, in the movie, not the book, the movie I, Frankenstein, the Gorgors, they explain that they are slowed down light beings. They look stationary to me. They look stationary to you too, right? You go out to these old churches in Europe, you see them ugly looking freaking gargoyles on stone. That shit ain't stone. That's what Jesus said. Even the rocks, if you don't praise me, the rocks will praise me. But what? We think the periodic table of elements is inanimate objects. We don't know because we never looked at the word elementals. We don't know what an elementary is or an elemental. Most of us don't know what a sprite, a genie, a mojo. We ain't from New Orleans. Most of us. We ain't been. You weren't raised in that shit. At least I wasn't. You do not know the function of hydrogen inside the human body, do you? So unless you're a medical doctor, unless you understand this stuff, then the function of hydrogen inside the body, when you understanding that your body has to do what? Dehydrated. So in the three-body problem, when the people die, they fold their bodies up, their skin. They put it in a box, they carry it around with them until they can be rehydrated. I'm gonna let that marinate. I let it marinate. Carbon is folded up hydrogen. That unless it's exposed, that's what the Bible says, flesh and blood cannot enter into the kingdom. You got to be born again of the water and the spirit. And you put dirt in water. That's how we create what is called carbon, the body. Water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen, which takes us to the O. Notice the order. Remember, I teach it E.N.O.C.H, but you must implement it H-C-O-N-E. You can't get the E. For very few people can access the power in the air because the prince don't give you access without the key. That's the movie Frankenstein. The prince, he's of the power of the air. He says that in the movie. He says that it's crazy that they put that shit in the movie. But it's just like in the movie Lord Impella, Dracula, the untold story. Google Lord Impella. The real dude. But why did he do what he do? He did it because he was a six. He was a carer. So Dracula, to save his family, sided with the devil. Like you and me. We all do. You do what you do because you care. Anybody not willing to do, is there any mother not willing to lay down their life for their children? I don't know, not one. I've never met a mother that says, man, fuck the kids, man. I'm just going to do me. Now, there's a few. I can't say, I've heard of a few. They just abandon their kids, leave them in trash cans, drop off at the fire station after birth. I've heard, seen Dateline movies and so, but I don't personally know a mother that is devoid of what's not caring. So that's how they get in. Remember, the devil can go and get in if you got feelings. Feelings is the door that let the demons in. Because you react to something because you feel something. They ride your feelings. That's why you are a carrier wave. You are carrying a wave. What's the wave? Well, the wave creates the frequency. The frequency creates the what? The vibration. The vibration determines the verb that you use. So the most crucial element in the human body is also the number one fuel in the military. All military weapons use hydrogen. Hydrogen is a weapon. Because we don't understand the function of hydrogen. But we ain't supposed to. We just out of keeping our arms out here living the dream, man. We just trying to pay our light bill on time. We don't understand that hydrogen is the number one element in the universe. 90% of all atoms are made up of hydrogen. But it's hydro, not hydra. So the serpent is hydra. The source is hydro. Source is water. That's what water above us and that's water below us. That's what we made up of water. That's why in the beginning God spoke into the deep. He said, let there be. And sonoluminescence, that's you, boo. The fluids in the body, which allows for toxins and nutrients to be transported and eliminated. Your whole body is made of hydrogen. So all I got to do is fuck up your hydrogen. And you bugged. And I'm just going to dry you out. 99.999% of alkylons, that's why your melanin is not activated. Because there's no hydrogen that carries the nutrition that's needed to activate the melanin. You can be black, that don't mean shit. Do you know any black person that's don't got sickle cell, diabetes, something that's related to the water intake? Everything is related to water. All disease is just simply a lack of water. I told you guys about the book that I read 30 years ago entitled, You're Not Sick, You Thirsty. Shit's free on the internet, man. It's free. How many people read it? How many people read my book on the rotation diet? All that shit I taught, been teaching for years. How many people do it? Not that you should. You're supposed to. The point is, now people pass for lack of knowledge. Knowledge is available. Knowledge is not implemented. Why? God, I'm too busy getting more information. We all do it. I do it, you do it, we all do it. You know, hydrogen, H3 and H2O, found in all foods, proteins, starches, fats, sugars. That's why we dehydrate certain foods. Hydrogen is the number one element responsible for slowing down the aging process. I'll give you this for free. I stay hydrated. This morning I got a lot of hydration. And it's interesting because your water is in the air. You don't drink it, you breathe it. That's the code. A part is the code. So that's why I do deep tissue or deep nostril breathing to remove free radicals. That's the role of chemistry inside of the body. To remove the damage that's been caused to your DNA that blocks your ability to do what? Think clearly, manifest. So the formation of free radicals is a lack of hydrogens. Hydrogen, what we call water, but it's H3 primarily. That means water found only in fruits and vegetables. Green, leafy, and seeded. That's why them niggas took it out. They ain't stupid. It was born at night. They just wasn't born last night. So your job is to do what? Put it back in. What's the best way? Remember, if you perform an exorcism, get shit out the body, you need to perform a exercise. Nobody wants to do that. Well, shit, doc. No, brother. Like I've been telling you guys lately, like that the wife has been like on cloud 1,000. And I'm just like, shit, welcome to the club. I mean, shit, you've been married to me long enough. But she didn't understand the benefits of it because she never tried it. That's the only reason that things don't work. You don't try it. Now, you know it, but you don't implement it. Not you personally. You don't know because once you implemented hydrogen by deep nostril breathing, there's a plethora of other, again, I'm talking about natural shit. Remember, I don't do The only way I would do a technique, like, for example, so you got about the machine that will implement that low frequency into my jawbone to regrow my teeth, because I cannot put TUT on my jaw. There's different things that you can do with it. It's 2 timers. Time under tension. So that's why, especially women, especially black women, osteoporosis, curvature of the spine, all that shit happens because there's no time under tension. How many black women you know that lift weights over the age of 60? I'll pause while you ponder the question. How many black women that you know that lift heavy weights over the age of 60? Anybody? Thank you. I don't either. I ain't never seen it. I go to the gym. Used to. I don't know no black women over the age of 60 that lift heavy. Liquid intense. I ain't talking about Pilates. I ain't talking about the treadmill. I ain't talking about group fitness. I'm talking about dumbbells in both hands. I'm not talking machines. I'm talking like picking up a rock or a brick or a dumbbell or weights. Or like I used to do back in the day. Find an empty milk jug, fill it up with water. Or just go buy you a jug of distilled water. It got handles on it. Go outside, bare feet in the sun, and just do some curls. Do some overhead presses. Put your foot through the little hole, do some extensions. Or just do some squats. You got to go buy no fancy equipment and shit. You got the money to do that, man, do you, boo. But if you don't, man, go in your can and get you one of them big old, you remember they used to sell OJ in a can, a big old can. It's going to be tough to put your hand around it, but you can do it. Or you can grab it. So what are you saying? I'm saying that there's no excuse. Now, we got them. I ain't going to keep them. There's nothing wrong with them. But I'm saying the code is implemented when you reverse engineer hydrogen. That activates the carbon. So everybody got carbon. Some people got carbon on a different level. But what does that mean? That means that your carbon, which is your melanocytes, oscillate differently than somebody else's. That means that you process it like chlorophyll. All plants don't process chlorophyll the same. All humans don't process sun the same. But we all do. So we break down carbon. So you got hydrogen, then you got carbon, then oxygens and nitrogen. Both of those really are together. Because both of those are in the air. So the prince that's over the air controls your access to nitrogen and hydrogen. Does anybody know what nitroglycerin is? And why do they give people when they come and they on their way to, upper yonder, especially if it's a heart issue, they will give them nitroglycerin shot. Anybody know why? Like nitrogen and hydrogen? Anybody know nitrous or nitrogen cycle? What about nitrous or nitrogen oxide? See, nitrogens, it's the ability to understand that word nitro. I remember it's extremely important that we remove ourselves from the system. If you understand that their system is to make sure, that, especially if you are a melanated individual, to remove your Kim Black history story. There's a story about combining all color. That's what the word black means, combine all color. So that means you cannot be a racist because all color is inside you. I gotta say that slow. It's a combining. When you understand what they call the nitro group, nitrogen is a universal group, or what's called a universal solvent. So we create this nitrohydrocolonic acid. That's it for another time, but that's where they get nitroglycerin from. Because what does it do? It's some bad shiznits. It activates you. So that's what we talked about, the animating principle of the body. So God has already gave you all of this. You got all of this stuff. Because it's designed to, at least what they tell us, is assist with any type of a, artery disease or anything that would, quote unquote, block the artery. That's what they give it to you if you have, like having I forgot the exact vein, but, they give it to you in pills if you're having a heart attack, blah, blah, blah. You just can't buy it, though, because it's dangerous. So that's nitrogen. Now, it goes a lot deeper than that, but that gives you access to the ether. That's why nobody can go to heaven unless they're born again. But you got to be born of the water and the spirit. Hydrogen and carbon and oxygen and nitrogen gives you spirit, what we call ether. That's the Enoch code. The way that you implement it has nothing to do with techniques. It has to do with the mental disposition. It's a mindset. Your mind is set on understanding how to activate the hydrogen that God has given you that turns the melanocyte pump on, so your sodium and potassium produces more ATP and ADP because now the mitochondrial DNA is activated. And so the oxygen and the nitrogen that you pull in through deep nostril breathing, because inside of your nose is nitrogen for the ability to process the air or the ether. You can't process the ether. That's why very few people are taught how to breathe through their nose because of the benefits. So most of them understand the benefits of breathing through their nose. Like you should. None of this requires going out and buying no fancy this, that, or the other. Doesn't require you being a vegan or not being a vegan. It's over the understanding the cell respiration process. Each cell operates and is controlled by what we call the sun, or light and sound. The light comes from the sun, the sound comes from the brain. That gets into the doctrine, which is book 2. So in book 2, we break down the doctrine. But the doctrine is not words. The doctrine is breath. Because the word, what does the word spirit means? Breath, deep nostril breathing. So you see how we got plans? Does anybody want to worship God? For real? Anybody want to get into the presence of God? That's why people promote certain breathing techniques. But the breathing techniques must be what we call natural. So is it natural for you to go? Is that natural? Depends on what you're doing. Even like I was telling you guys about the wife who just did the ice bath, the ice plunge, first time, and that deep natural, because when she jumped in there, the first thing was like you taking that deep breath. That is only naturally done when you are under stress or tension. So when are you naturally under tension? When you're performing an exorcism. We call it an exercise. So MELCHIZEDEK has a specific deck. There's a specific doctrine that has nothing to do with what we believe a doctrine is. And so the first thing to activate your melanin is you got to get in contact with the true doctrine. Now the doctrine, remember, is not man-made. It's a universal spiritual law. So there's certain docs, not a doctor, but a certain docs like Google Docs. So if you go to Google, Google Docs, what is it? Google Docs is a place where you can access, you can write, you can make spreadsheets. It's a place where you can create and edit. You can also like collaborate with people. You can do it offline and online. You can, import and export images. It's like a Word document. So what are documents? Because that's the first key in the MELCHIZEDek process is understanding documents. So what's on documents? Because if you look at documents, what do you put on a document? Well, a document is like punani because it's paper. Documents are used to perform a ritual or rite. So document is a place where you can put information. MELCHIZEDek. Dek is code for document. So document is a specific location where in the Latin it's from the word docutum, T-U-M. So it literally means to teach ment or mentals. So a document, literally in the ancient text, means to put something in your mentals or in your brain. So that's why we use documents, paper, to write things down, to put that shit in our brain. Document is a piece of paper. Document, that's why men put their, peckers inside a woman's punani. Then we broke down the lingam. We broke down, remember, penis, punani, pen, paper. Because a piece of paper has the same power to give birth. Because you can put your seed, your ink, your pen, your penis onto paper. So, but in the Latin, it comes from the word D-O, or another word is D-O-C-E-R-E in Latin. And we get the word teach. So for the sake of MELCHIZEDek, excuse me, and this is also inside of the previous series that I've done, which I'm including as well. So really, like always, I like to include a little additional informing for people that need it or would like it. So number one, you got to teach, but you got to teach through a document. So that's the first part of the MELCHIZEDek. Then we got Chi and Z, which is electricity and magnetism, or the So it's an electrical process. And we all are familiar with Chi Z. But what we don't really connect from a spiritual perspective is Chi Z simply means love and compassion, a.k.a. polarity. So Chi Z is taking singularity and put it into duality. And then we take from duality and we put it into the Trinity. And then we take from the Trinity, we put it into the cube. That's where we get the cloud, the cross, and the cube. We go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. And we can keep going down the ladder because that creates what's called triangle. That's to get it into the Illuminati, skull and crossbones, Freemasons. That's where a lot of them, they drop the triangle. The upside down triangle puts the singularity God at the bottom instead of at the top. That's why that all-seeing eye on the back of your dollar bill, the eye don't touch the triangle. You have a separation of singularity in the world being controlled by duality. So MELCHIZEDek goes back to singularity on top. Source is in control, bro. That's why you can't get conned. Like 99.99% of the stuff that we, myself and you and everybody else do, we wouldn't do if we were connected to source. Because if you operate in the MELCHIZEDek, what happens? Those feelings, all the feelings that you catch them, and then you throw them back. That's all it means. Melchizedek means you got a doctrine that activates the electricity and magnetism to control your mentals and your melanin. That's what it means. But how do you implement it? Everybody knows this. Most would know this, but the day-to-day implementation of it, it simply means that in your gut, it's hard to take a step back when you're in it. That's why you got to set the system up before you go in. Once you go into wealth, once you go into health, once you go into wisdom, once you go into a relationship and you haven't set up a system, what happens is you get overwhelmed because you can't slow down. It's like once this big ball start rolling downhill, you can't stop. I mean, a lot of people try it, it's impossible. It's like when stuff gathers momentum, how do you stop it? You can't. You just get ready to fuck over. You got to get the fuck out the way. When the momentum starts rolling downhill, and you notice it because your spirit will tell you, if you are connected to God. That's how I can tell with somebody. I can tell if you connected to God or not based on your momentum and the ability to get out the way. Some of us are going downhill right now in the areas of wealth, health, wisdom, or relationships. Now, you start at the top of the hill, and then you roll down to the bottom of the hill. And then you go through the bottom, and then you go back and get enough momentum to push you back up the hill. Then you go back down the hill. Then you go back up the hill. Then you go back down the hill. That's the natural cycle. That's what they call it, a sine wave. But the goal is to eventually get off that ride. The purpose of these codes is for you to stop oscillating in polarity. There's nothing wrong with it. That's how the whole world works. That's not how heaven works. The high vibrational state is singularity. Inside of singularity is all this other stuff. This is how singularity experiences itself. Again, nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with going on a roller coaster. When they're going to the fair. It's like if you go to the fair, nothing at the fair is really benevolent. You got candy apples. Is that good? No. Cotton candy? No. The merry-go-round? No. It just makes you sick. Then you get on this roller coaster. And depending on your disposition, man, when I was a kid, I used to love roller coasters. The last one, man, I was like, I think this is going to be the last time I do this. And that was a few years ago. Got on a roller coaster with the kids. Man, I almost gave up my lunch from 2 weeks ago. So it's like, the older I get, it's like, that roller coaster ride that I used to love as a kid, I don't like it no more. So I got off. Same thing in the spirit. All I am doing is just getting off the roller coaster ride. I'm not saying you should get off the roller coaster ride. It's a lot of fun riding a roller coaster. It is a lot of fun. Don't get me twisted. It's a lot of fun going up and down, and happy and sad, fat and skinny. It's great. It is off the hizzle. However, as you age simply means to expand in consciousness. It has nothing to do with anthropy like we've been taught. So you got to get off that ride too. So you get off the ride of buying what's been given by the dominant culture, and you establish, again, an altered state of consciousness. So I'm in an altered state of consciousness because I understand MELCHIZEDEK. So I understand that as a doctrine, that in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known. You guys remember we broke that down? Inside of autophagy. So now I'm off the treadmill of life, which means I don't respond, which means I don't get amped up, I don't get cooled down. I'm in a place now where I can see the field. And I can tell you what you feel, and you can too. You know, no matter where you are and what you're doing, we all over there. And a good example is was talking about well, let me check. So the Diane is okay if I share a little bit about one of the group opportunities that Sister Coleman was talking about, some possible group investment opportunities. And we were talking about, well, I just talked about what I was going to do, and Mr. Coleman texted me if it's okay for me to share with the group what you shared with me earlier this morning. And you guys know I was looking at selling the home that I'm in right now and going to either, there's something called Surfside, there's Beachside. These are different coastal communities in Galveston, like Corpus Christi, Port Lavaca area. These are all coastal cities. The goal is that walking outside, doing a seminar, and the beach being our background. Now the kids, like Alec graduates in June, so one of the opportunities I was looking at either, but as I mentioned to everybody on the call, was, selling my house, to either one or we as a group put the house into a trust, use the house as an Airbnb for the people that come to Texas that want to get close to SeaWorld and all the festivities in Texas. Another thing is just to sell the house, use the equity from the house to purchase the property on the beach. So that way, and do the bed and breakfast seminar, everything that I was planning on doing here, because the wife really loves fishing. She really wants to be closer to the water. It's a 2-hour drive, which is not bad, but I'm thinking about, especially as she gets close to retirement. I'm already retired, I've been retired, but the point is, man, it'd be nice to wake up every morning and instead of going to my backyard and see my neighbor's backyard, to go in the backyard and hear the water, kind of like, like the Coleman lives in Cali and have access to the beach and so on and so forth. So it's very refreshing. So that's what I was talking about as a group that we could do. So we could put this, my house that I have right now, in a group trust that we all set up. So that way the group is benefiting from the funds of the Airbnb. That was one option. Then Sister Coleman was talking about an option that just kind of fell in her lap in California, where there was a restaurant that primarily sell organic, well, not organic, but, real, authentic, Hispanic, Mexican, depending on what term you want to use, food. They're in Cali, a great location, so on and so forth. My only question was, and I didn't really get to talk too much about it, but because I was listening to her sharing the information about that opportunity, the first thing that came to my mind is what we ran into when we had the coffee shop and bookstore, which was, man, the restaurant industry is highly regulated. So the food permits that's required, just make sure that the restaurant is up to code. Second thing would be the books. Looking at the books of the restaurant, going back over tax records, seeing it, has it been profitable, signage, location, street access, how easy is it to get in and out? Is it located near a major freeway? So all of these are questions, food handlers permits. But the biggest question of all is this a natural extension of the soul? Remember, every investment of your time, your energy, and your money has to be a natural expression of your soul. You can't get cooked. You can't get conned when you're doing you. The only way you can make a bad investment is if it's a good opportunity, but it's outside of your lane. That means that I would have to trust somebody else to run it. I'm not a cook. I don't know nothing about the restaurant industry other than what we did which we had a full-fledged kitchen and everything. We went around the system, but thankfully we never had a city inspector come in while we were cooking because we did have the ventilation. We put in the hot and the water, but we did not have a stove that met, nor did we have the storage, the refrigeration, which is another thing that, Sister Diane, I don't know if did they have a refrigeration department in the back of the restaurant where all the food is stored at? It has to meet all of the temperatures. The water has to be a certain temperature, 24/7, 365. The biggest problem that we had was the ventilation. Because most restaurants have it, and they got ventilation, but it doesn't meet code. So those are all questions. So what I'm saying is that no matter what investment that you go into, there has to be somebody on the team and in the group. Now, what Sister Coleman did say was she got a family member that's a chef. See, that's perfect. If the family member is on board with, running it. Because if so, then bam, at least we got somebody in the industry Because already, remember, if you got to go out and learn a new skill set, you shouldn't go into it. You should invest your time and your energy. All of this is automatic when you're in a Melchizedek state. When you are in a mental state where your brain is controlled by the E.N.O.C.H code and the Melchizedek, you draw to you the vibrational equivalent of you. As I mentioned yesterday, whatever you feel today, you're going to feel tomorrow. So if you feel wealthy today, regardless of your wealth state, you feel wealthy tomorrow. It's a trick. That's the Mel code. That's the Melchizedek code. That's the E.N.O.C.H code. That's how I got here. So that's why whenever I forget by enjoying the fruit from the code, you forget to operate the code. It's like going out to eat every night and eating, I'm not going to say bad, but, eating a lot of stuff that's not alkaline. What happens is you, over time, put on extra waste. So you start to feel slow, sluggish. Because you feel it today, you feel it tomorrow. Because tomorrow never comes. Think about it. Tomorrow is always in the future. That's what it's called tomorrow. That's what the Bible says. Now, faith is. Whatever your faith is now, it will always be. So to change your monetary state tomorrow, you have to change your monetary state today. See, that's what God means. And no matter how much I teach it, when you are feeling a monetary state consciously, you are aware of how much you're spending unconsciously. And so what you are ordering unconsciously is that awareness. See, it's the universe and the way that we order is based upon this code. The code states that Melchizedek received a tenth of all. That's why he was never broke. Money was always coming in, no matter how much he was spending. That's why I was saying that the goal for any investment opportunity, like I was talking about precious metals, we were talking about land. That's why I'm looking at lands in a particular area, especially where the wife goes just because of the tourism. So when she goes fishing, and the land that we're looking at is right near what's called Padre Island. Well, not necessarily Padre Island, but it's right near Corpus, which is kind of close to Padre Island. But then it goes up to I'm trying to think of the name of the that boating dock. It was called they call it Dolphin Docks, and it's interesting because other than when there's bad weather, what's the name of it? Padre, not Padre. It'll come to me. Give me a sec. Why is it that? I'm trying to remember. Port Aransas. There we go. Man, I don't know why I couldn't remember that. Thank you, Big G. But anyway, if you guys just Google Port Aransas. And it's crazy now because lots now sell for $1 million and up. Just a lot. So I should have jumped on it way back in the day when I was originally looking at it. When it was like a quarter of the price. But even if you purchase something now, it's always going up because everybody is getting hip to fishing. Because there's something there, and they call it, the wife goes down there doing snapper. They call it snapper season. And it's the only certain part, I guess, that they migrate through the ocean. But there's a certain time, I think it's coming up, I think it's like April, May, maybe June time frame. So that's why we're looking at land out there. Because everybody that's in Texas that really know fishing, they go down there doing red snapper, and you buy it, and they clean the fish and cook it. So when you catch it, you don't even have to touch it. To my knowledge, and from the places that we've been fishing, that's one of the only parts. And again, I'm no enthusiast. She had to talk to the wife about it. But again, since this is her, it's in gardening, the fishing in the gardening, that's her cup of tea. So that's why that could be an area that we could go into. Same thing with the thing that Dr. Span, that so the Coleman is talking about. But there maybe there is somebody else in the group that's an expert in like running a restaurant. Shit, let me know so I can let Sister Coleman know. I'm not saying that you need this, maybe that's somebody who's willing to move to Cali and run it. And if so, then again, the more of a natural expression of the soul inside of what I call the Enoch and the Melchizedek disposition, then it's a guaranteed win. Because remember, this disposition is about the role. It's about the quality of your day-to-day activity, not the destination. So it's not about making a lot of money. Making a lot of money is an after effect if you wake up every morning and you love what you do. So if you notice, my money goes up and down, but I love what I do. My role, my day-to-day activity is the same because I'm married to the role, R-O-A-D, and the role, R-O-L-E. That allows me to roll, R-O-L-L. So I'm always rolling along, regardless of wealth, health, wisdom, and relationship. Because I've learned and still learning that this is a higher level of detachment now. Detachment from what? All blocks, all energy blocks are entities. There's an unknown energy in your life. There's an unknown entity in your life, and it's draining your energy. That simply means that you're doing something outside of your lane, and it makes you feel tired because you have to put forth a lot of effort. You can do it. You can do anything you want, man. You're an energy expression of God on earth. Let's not get it twisted. You're a high vibration like keep it on, man. You can do whatever you want. Just make sure that you understand you have to make it happen. So I'm going into things and recommending that everybody look at, and that's why it's better to have a group of people. Because then somebody in the group that's an expert in the area that you're not, so it doesn't cause you any pain, but yet you can still benefit. The goal is for us to think in a way that benefits the whole, not just one individual. Man, I haven't seen that, but in the black community. I know I've been having a life management system for almost 30 years now. We started, we stopped. I mean, right before COVID happened, man, we was on the road. Right? That's crazy because I was doing hit up 8 cities of the 10 cities I had planned on that year. I got a chance to go out and meet Dr. Span them, got a chance to meet Sister Candace, got a chance to go out and hang out with Dr. Martinette and Dr. T. Got to hang out with Sister Paulette and, Sister Dee DeShay and, man, I was traveling, going up and down, we was having a blast. Things was making money, doing seminar, things were going to do it, and then COVID happened. Not only did it affect me, and I haven't bounced back 100%, even though last year was my best year, which is kind of interesting. But as far as getting the collective back, and I forgot about even going out hanging out with Reverend Cheryl, and then her and her husband came to San Antonio. I got a chance to hang out with Reverend Cheryl, same thing with Dr. Span and Dr. Jerome. They both came to San Antonio, man. We got a chance to sit down, break bread, sit right there in the living room table at the old spot. So the goal is to go back to doing the exact same thing. So as I said, the first, the first, nothing has changed. First goal is to still have a seminar here. I would love to get either back to Vegas with Dr. Span or even maybe back to Cali with Sister Coleman. Maybe, we don't buy a spot before, which obviously the best thing to do is everything I'm trying to do here, we also do the same thing in Cali. And then when we're not there, just Airbnb it. That way the space is on the beach. It's always occupied, making money. And every time we're going to do a seminar, we just carve out that week. Everybody fly in. We get to hang out as family. Bake bread, bring in, do some advertising locally, bring in new people, whether we're in California, whether we're in Texas, or we could do it also. And whoever lives in that state runs that building. I would love to be able to do what I'm doing either here where I'm at right now or the new spot, which is, again, I'm really looking for the Corpus area because, again, I know that area. Been down there so many times, so I know the crime. I know this. Houston is, man, because of the oil and gas in the soil, nobody really talks about it. Remember I tell you guys, I think it's called God Save Texas. And they talked about the criminal justice system and oil and gas. Nobody talks about that. That's why the mold, the mildew. Houston, my home, I love it, but, man, it'd be rough for me just because of what I know. So I'm not really too keen on the Galveston and the Port Channel area. Corpus, a little bit better. But my brother's been there for 30 years. I know the city. Like I said, I was almost a cop down there. I got hired on, and at the last minute I changed my mind and stayed in San Antonio. So really leaning towards the Corpus Christi area. But I'm also open, and we got to start talking about some of this stuff as a group as well. Because this is what we should be thinking, family. We should be thinking in a way, and it's easy because there's no ego involved when you are in an Enoch Melchizedek state of mind. Because Jesus is the priest after the order of Melchizedek. So when you have this disposition, you are the vibrational equivalent. You have the same disposition as Jesus or Yahushua or yes, you are. Because we're all many members, but there's only one body. So that was the intro for both. And both of these, I may put something on paper, but both of these are really audio books. And it's like a good about 20 plus hours of audio that comes with both systems. Each one sells for $1,000. We got both systems combined, and we'll run the sale for probably through the end of the month. So that way, if anybody want to pick up both the E.N.O.C.H code and the Melchizedek code, you already know what to do. Just go to the website and make the payment for pick up both copies for $9.97. Also, anybody got any ideas, or if there's anybody in the family that like got restaurant experience, you're world class chef, you know how to handle the books, especially from a Hispanic Mexican folks, because again if obviously you purchase anything you want to keep. A lot of times you guys know you go to a restaurant and it's sold and the food changes because the cook changed and they changed the recipe, so it's not the same. So we want to keep it as close to the original so that people that's been going to that particular location for years, they can't tell the difference because just because you change the shelf, it's like you don't want to change the recipe. Kind of like with KFC or Kentucky Fried Chicken, you want to keep the Colonel's recipe. So hopefully all of that comes with that if that's something or direction that, again, this was a investment opportunity that was brought to my attention by Sister Coleman. And also, anybody else got any opportunities in your neck of the woods, especially in the real estate area or the land area, and especially if it's coastal, let me know. Love you. See you guys there on tonight. God bless.